Everyone, I'm here with Dr. Jamie Lipp. She's a trainer and professor at Ohio State University. I guess with a focus on reading recovery or reading recovery trainer. So how are you doing today, Dr. Lipp?
Great. Thanks for interviewing me again.
So I figured it'd be cool. I was a little impromptu, but I thought it'd be cool after having a chance. My first time seeing something about reading recovery. I've been wanting to know for years. So what kind of made you want to do phonics and phonological awareness training on reading recovery? We know what's going on, I guess, in the media, but what made you want to do a training on it?
You know, that really is it. It's kind of this misconception out there that either we don't teach phonics and phonemic awareness in reading recovery lessons, or we don't do it well. And it was just really important for me, myself, to learn more, do the reading that needs to be done, but also to show that we are doing lots of teaching of phonics and phonemic awareness and doing it very well throughout every single reading recovery lesson every day. And our lessons are short. It's a 30-minute lesson, one-on-one. And the amount, I think, of phonics and phonemic awareness was even, really impressive to me when I started gathering information for this session to see just how much we do with that child, in addition to them reading multiple texts a day and writing their own text and cutting up a text and putting it back together. In addition to all that, we are teaching phonics and phonemic awareness heavily and well.
So, like with everything that's going on, I know we're going to get too much to the reading wars, but why was something like having reading recovery, the actual conference in person, why was that important for you?
Oh, this really is a community. It doesn't really matter who you talk to. Someone who's went through reading recovery training will say to you, that was the best, most influential experience of my life. And I think that is due in part to how intense it is, but also that they start working with children right away. And they're able to see those shifts. They're learning theory and practice at the same time. And so when we come back together, and I've said this before, it is about being with people who speak your language. And so there are people outside of reading recovery, like we talked about earlier, that have these sort of misconceptions about what we do or don't do in reading recovery. And when we are here and gathered together and we're working with colleagues and like-minded professionals that do this work day in and day out, it's just really confirming to know how important that work is, to know that the acceleration we're seeing with our students is real and valid. And so being together in person is wonderful.
How did you feel overall about the session? I mean, you've probably done many at this point. How did you feel overall about how the session was received?
The fact that this room had over 300 people in it and we had to move to make this session bigger tells me that so many people want to hear this. They
How awesome you might be as well.
Yeah, and they want confirmation that what they're doing and what they're pouring their heart into and doing well every day is valid. I think there's a bit of gaslighting happening with teachers. It's a little bit of, it's okay. You just don't know this, so let me teach you and then you can do better. And while we always have room to learn and grow, there's also a space for confirmation of, but yes, we do know this, and yes, we are doing this well. And I think that's why this session was so jam-packed, and I was just happy to see everyone here.
All right, so just to kind of wrap things up, what do you kind of hope to see things with reading recovery? I know there's so many other reading recovery people, but what do you kind of hope to see things in the next few years? I know we talked, I guess, some months ago about this, but what do you hope to kind of see now that we're back in person? Where do you hope to see it go in the next couple of years?
I would love to see implementations just grow and continue to grow and expand, because I do believe that probably the last thing we need right now is to focus on just putting all of our eggs into whole group instruction that is less differentiated. I think especially since COVID, now more than ever, we need to focus on responsive teaching that's differentiated to our students. We also need to focus on teacher professional development, and we know there's no better teacher professional development than reading recovery, and that's not just me. That is Linda Darling-Hammond talking about 7 effective characteristics of professional development, and reading recovery having all 7. So I think now more than ever is a time to invest in teachers and invest in students.
All right, so this has just been Dr. Jamie Lipp. I caught the tail end of her session, the second half of it. It was an excellent session. For someone like me that don't know much about reading recovery and trying to learn about it, it was very informative and kind of taught me a lot about what it really is. And although some have said what it's not, I got to see what it was. Thanks for listening, guys.